Hi, welcome to Reheat. Today I'm sharing my latest pancake recipe, how to make pancakes from scratch with quinoa flour. I've been eating quinoa for over 20 years, but I'd only recently started experimenting with flour. And I use a ready-made quinoa flour from a company called Dove's Farm here. And if you can't get flour, you can also grind up quinoa flakes. You just need to pop them in a food processor. They're light and fluffy, gluten-free, high in protein, and super nutritious. It's one of the superfoods. So let's get mixing. In here I've got 100 grams, which is just about 1 cup of flour. I'm making about 6 pancakes today, 6 to 8, depending on the size. And I just add a little bit of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I never add salt, but if you want to add a pinch of salt, add it in. If you don't have baking soda, just put 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I love adding cinnamon to everything because it's good for you as well. I've also tried roasting my quinoa flour to take some of the bitterness away, but today I'm not because I don't really think it needs it, and I don't mind the kind of nutty, bitter taste that quinoa gives off. And I find that when I add the cinnamon, it kind of counteracts that. So now we just need to add 1 egg. And if you aren't into eggs or you're trying to avoid eggs, I'll pop a link up above. I did a whole series with spelt flour on how to make eggless pancakes, and there's lots of options. You could do ground flaxseed, apple cider vinegar, mashed banana, apple puree, or even soda water or sparkling water. But I'm going to do it with an egg and plant-based milk. So I've got 120 mils or half a cup of almond milk. You can use regular milk or oat milk, whatever you like. And in here I've got 3 tablespoons of yogurt. Now I've done this recipe both ways without the yogurt, but I find that the yogurt actually helps the fluffiness for the quinoa flour. And if you're avoiding dairy, just buy dairy-free yogurt. So I'm just going to mix all that up with my whisk. I love whisking with this flat whisk. It kind of tends to not get as stuck as the regular whisk. Oh, what I should have said, it's a really good idea when you're making pancakes to start heating up your pan before you mix. So I've got my little induction hob here, just on medium. And I've got a little bit of, tiny bit of oil greasing the pan. Now at this stage, you can eyeball the mixture and check the thickness. If you prefer your pancakes like not as fluffy and fat and you want it thinner, add a little bit more milk. The other thing I like doing if I've got it on hand is add a little bit of cooked quinoa, and that's 3 tablespoons. I just had it sitting in the fridge, so I added it in. So if you don't have cooked quinoa, maybe just add a little bit more flour. But a word of warning, I did do a batch earlier on, and I got a bit carried away and I added about 6 tablespoons, about half a cup of cooked quinoa, and it made them crumbly. They still tasted good, but they're just a little bit harder to eat. So don't do what I do and add a little bit more. I get creative and just think, oh, just throw a bit more in, and then I mess up my recipe. And if you're new here today and you like this kind of video, think of subscribing. All you need to do is have a Google account, hit the bell, and then you get notified when I have a new video. And don't forget, hit the like, that also helps. So what I like to use is just a scoop, 1/4 cup scoop to get it out. And it's always good to do a test one, which is kind of like the chef's one, just to check whether the consistency of your batter is right and if the pan's hot enough. And it usually takes about 1.5 minutes on either side to cook. Just have something close by which you can put your cup on so you don't dirty your bench. The other little handy tip is cover them with a bowl, and I've got this metal mixing bowl. So when they're cooked, I pop them on a plate and then I cover them with a bowl so it ensures that they not only stay warm, but they are really lovely and soft. Or you can start feeding people as you cook them, which is what happened when we were kids. My dad used to make what's called pikelets, and there was, a lot of us. I'm one of 5 children, and as he was making them, we're eating, and he always joked that he was, I can't cook them quick enough. So that's my fond memory of my dad cooking in the kitchen. I think we're looking good. I love experimenting with different types of flours, and I often bake with spelt flour and buckwheat flour, and I also like to be semi-healthy because when I overdo the spelt flour, I then kind of go, oh, what else can I eat to be a little bit healthier? And I usually make buckwheat flour pancakes because it's naturally gluten-free. And because I like quinoa, I thought, I wonder what quinoa pancakes would be like. And so I've been playing around over the last year making quinoa pancakes, and I finally mastered it. And my secret tip is, I think, the added quinoa and the yogurt. I'm going to zoom you in so you can watch cooking closer. So this first one's cooked, so I'm going to take it out of the pan, pop it on my plate, and then cover it up. This pancake, this fry pan only cooks kind of one at a time. I usually cook them on my gas stove top on a crepe pan, and it's quite large, and I can cook like 3 at a time, but it doesn't work on my induction hob to show you in the video. So you'll notice the bubbles start appearing, and when more and more bubbles appear, you kind of can tell when it's cooked. And just keep an eye if you need to pop your fry pan down. Mine might go down just one level. The induction hob cooks quite quickly, and it's really hard to control the heat sometimes. I'm doing the final one, so I'm just scraping out the balance of the mixture. These are also great to pop in the freezer, and you could just wrap them individually or pop them in a container with paper in between them, and they probably last about 2 months. Or you can even just store them in the fridge and pop them in your toaster to eat, and they probably last about 3 or 4 days. So don't forget, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, consider subscribing, and write a comment below what your favourite way of making pancakes is. And let me know if you try quinoa flour for the first time, and if you give this recipe a go. I'm always thrilled when I get fantastic comments from my viewers. I think I've made roughly about 7 today. That's good enough for 2 of us, but if you've got a family that you're feeding, you might want to double my recipe. I'm going to come a bit closer and show you what they look like on the inside. So here's my stack of quinoa flour pancakes, and I'm going to open up one. They're still really hot. Look at that. The steam's coming off them. They're really fluffy and light, and I love them. I think they taste amazing. We sometimes even have them for lunch with a little bit of banana and maple syrup. So that's my quinoa flour pancakes. Thanks for watching. I'll pop a few links up above for a few other pancake ideas, and I'll see you next time. Bye.